At Arizona State University, we've made online education better, smarter, and more personalized so you can go further in your aspiring field.
I decided to pursue medicine once I realized that ASU did have the online program for biological sciences. You're still required to learn the same curriculum. You're still being tested on the same content that anyone would be tested on in person. The comprehensiveness of the program prepared me so well for medical school.
Explore over 300 programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
We're about to play our first shows and we won't have visuals, and it's like still a little weird for me, but at the same time, like I just wanted to kind of strip it all down. We have some samples that we're triggering off of just loop pedals and just like make it a live, like more visceral experience.
Welcome to the Dreams of Consciousness podcast. If you'd be so kind, would you mind introducing yourself?
Sure, I'm Josh Graham from Guiltless.
And Josh, how would you describe the music of Guiltless?
I would say it's sort of doom, sludge, like post metal, noise rock influence, even some kind of like some like old hardcore influences. But yeah, I don't know. I think all of our influences are so vast. I think we have a hard time kind of classifying it for ourselves.
As far as the doom goes, would you say like Guiltless occupies one speed? Or not one speed, but like there's a certain pace that you associate with the band?
As far as like tempo, like BPM,
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's fairly mid-tempo, ranging from slower to not super slow, but yeah, I mean it's not going to go like, full like pump D beats or blast beats or something.
Yeah. And I should mention that you were also in The Storm of Light until fairly recently.
Yeah, I mean, a Storm of Light, there's no real reason to like break it, like to dissolve it, but at the same time, I sort of doubt that we'll do anything again.
Can you tell me a little bit about how Guiltless came together and what your intentions were when you put this project together?
Yeah, it was the last tour that A Storm of Light did with Mono in 2018 was great. We kind of set a bar for ourselves that if we weren't able to kind of like up our game, like, and start doing more festivals and stuff, that it might be time to wrap it. It was, about 10 years old. So kind of during the pandemic, I started trying to figure out like I wanted to do something heavier than A Storm of Light, but also a bit more collaborative. A Storm of Light, like everyone wrote their own parts, but I was basically bringing every song like almost completely arranged to the table. So I have another kind of side project with Billy, who was in A Storm of Light and is the drummer in Guiltless also. We played Desert Fest in Belgium in 2022, and like that was kind of the first show, like set of shows like back from the pandemic, and Ivy's like more sort of soundtrack kind of stuff, but it's a metal festival, and that like fully kind of reawakened my like thought process that I've been sort of having to like, yes, I want to do something heavy and I want to do it now. So we got back from Europe and I basically just started working on the four songs from the Thorns EP, and I felt like I needed to sort of get through those songs to like identify what Guiltless was going to sound like for myself, and then also have that like as like material to approach the other guys in the band to see if they wanted to join the band. Like it's a little bit more like we're all spread out like all over the country, so it's easier to say like, hey, do you want to join this band? Not like just email people and say, do you want to, start something randomly heavy like that no one knows what it's going to sound like. So yeah, so we did Thorns, and my like whole thing was I wanted to be collaborative. So like that's kind of where Teeth the Sky comes in, is it's super collaborative. Everyone's bringing in their own ideas, and it's like really split pretty evenly between the members.
And I'd like to speak more about the songwriting for Teeth to Sky. With regards to Thorns, was that kind of like a proof of concept for you to show the guys and show labels like this is what this new project is going to be?
Yeah, absolutely. It was actually like so I did the four songs for myself and then presented them to the other guys, and then obviously like everyone wrote their own parts, like we all made them better and finished them as a group. And we recorded everything ourselves, like remotely, and we didn't really know initially, like we thought that those were probably going to be a demo. And we started talking to Steve from Neurot, and we were like kind of like playing with the idea of like, well, this was October of 2023. So if we were to hold the 4 songs on Thorns and then write like, 4 or 5 more songs for a full record, like it wouldn't have come out. Nothing would have come out until probably like a couple months ago. So we basically just kind of like committed for Thorns to be essentially like the proof of concept for the band publicly, like for everything. Like we recorded this ourselves. I mixed it, like Brad from Audio Siege mastered it and like really kind of helped us kind of wrap it up since none of us are engineers really. So yeah, we just committed to Thorns basically being like the proof of life for the band. Like we have these songs done, the recordings are done. We're just going to get it out there. It came out February of 2024, and we're like, okay, the goal is basically within a year from now to essentially release a full length record, like with entirely new material, like where it is a collaborative effort.
The first release that you guys did was The Infinite Concrete Desert, right?
That's actually just me, and the reason I have that and the reason it's kind of still floating around is because like being in bands for a very long period of time, trying to come up with a name for a band is virtually impossible. And like,
maybe the worst discussions that a band can have, right? What are we going to call ourselves?
And this is also like before like I wrote the songs. This is before the initial ideas and before like I approached anyone, and I was just like basically like I can't believe that this English word, like as a one word, has never been a band. So I was like, I'm gonna write, this drone track, put it on Bandcamp, and that basically establishes like the birth of the band. And then like as we started working on Thorns together, like I was like, by the way, like I have this kind of like, sort of reserved. And everyone's like, yeah, that's great. Yeah. So basically trademarked it like right after that. So it's just like a crazy, yeah, band names suck and like they're never, I don't think like eventually like if the band is big enough and people like the band enough, like it becomes less about the word itself and just becomes more a representation of the word. But it's still, it has a cool like meaning to it, double meaning. It can be that you're actually like guiltless and innocent, or like you have no guilt and you're an asshole.
Right. And I think duality is something that you explore a lot in your lyrics, right?
Yes, definitely.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, that the drone song that you put out originally was something you had, and it got attached to Guiltless just because you needed something on the Bandcamp page.
Yeah.
As like a placeholder.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I may pull it down, but I'm like literally, I mean, and this is kind of, I guess, makes me seem probably less insane for trademarking it, but literally the like same week that we released Thorns as our demo, like essentially EP, and some other band like popped up like out of nowhere, like a hardcore band called Guiltless that released a 4-song EP like a couple days before. So it's kind of weird times.
Yeah. I mean, the drone song is interesting because one of the things that separates Guiltless from A Storm of Light is Guiltless definitely has less of the atmospheric and, maybe post-rock sounding stuff that I associated with A Storm of Light. So it's almost like you got all of that out of your system with the drone song and then just focused on the heavy stuff on Thorns.
Yeah, I could see that. Also, like with A Storm of Light, like there were tons of sort of electronic sounds and keyboards, and we had visuals and everything basically ran off of like a laptop and a click, and I think that was something I really didn't want to have in this band. Like, I mean, I did visuals for Neurosis for 12 years, so like that concept, like I still like we're about to play our first shows and we won't have visuals, and it's like still a little weird for me, but at the same time, like I just wanted to kind of strip it all down. We have some samples that we're triggering off of just loop pedals and just like make it a live, like more visceral experience. I think the audience may not even really notice a difference, but like just for us, like especially like Billy and me, like where we were kind of like slaves to the computer for a really long time, and we did pretty well with it, but we had some crazy, problems with it, a few shows here and there. So like I like that idea of stripping it down, like losing like the atmosphere, like I think the kind of like the times of like our modern world like demand a sort of like a more pointed and like stripped down and honest kind of approach to this music for me anyway.
Yeah. So in order to sync your visuals to your live performances, you have to play to a click, so everything lined up.
Yeah, you have to like
Okay.
with Neurosis, like I ran it and I ran everything live like with all like parts made for like the intro loops and like the verse loops and the chorus loops and stuff like that. But like I was I would go on tour with them. That was my job. So a Storm of Light never really made the kind of money to like think about bringing someone on tour to like also run projections. So it becomes sort of like or hiring someone to do live keyboards. Like it becomes like a sort of cost benefit analysis, I guess.
So it's not necessarily that, if I'm understanding you correctly, it's not necessarily that you don't want those elements in Guiltless. It's just that it's simpler for you to do without them right now. Is that correct?
I mean, like Guiltless will never be kind of like as orchestrated as a Storm of Light was, like where there's actual like melodic key parts, and I'm just not interested in doing that at all. Visuals maybe, but we probably would go to a click for that, but I've also kind of figured out a way to make it a little less insane than it was before, where like if you break a string, like you're panicking to try to
Right, yeah.
get it changed before the song starts, or you have to stop the computer. So
Were you writing stuff for A Storm of Light and Thorns with the DAW? Were you doing stuff with like a drum machine or anything like that?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I a Storm of Light was like definitely established kind of like a remote writing process, especially with Billy because he lives in Knoxville. So, and A Storm of Light was based in New York, but so like yeah, working in DAW, like he would record parts and send parts, and with Guiltless, like we are all using independent DAWs, but we're just kind of like we have an online sort of drive where we're like everyone's kind of uploading their own ideas and sounds, and people are taking the sounds and like like or the guitar parts and like messing around with them and like re-uploading them. Someone else will take it and like interpret it. So it's a bit more of a we're getting like a bit more of a band in a room experience with Guiltless, even though we're not. But there's that kind of there's that freedom, and everyone in the band is an in-depth songwriter. So it allows like this kind of remote approach to writing to actually really be collaborative, which is cool because a Storm of Light wasn't like it. I mean, it was between I think Billy and I, but like we kind of went through a Storm of Light had like kind of like a revolving onslaught of members, and Dominic was the bassist, and he was great and like wrote like great stuff, but he would kind of come in like after the songs were like completely done, essentially.
Right. Yeah. So most of the songwriting for Teeth to Sky was done remotely, with you guys just sharing files back and forth.
Yeah, yeah. We've still never played these songs in a room yet, so we play the first show is on the 21st in San Francisco with Coalesce and Calvin World City, and we're flying to LA on the 19th, and we'll be practicing on the 20th and playing these on the 21st. So that'll be the first. Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, you and Billy have played together for a long time.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing you guys have a pretty good. You guys are in sync. But is getting ready for a tour, getting ready for shows, something that you still get nervous about?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're not nervous about it, you're probably not like connected enough to it. I don't know. Yeah, I think like we're all like practicing independently, like I'm practicing at this point like 4 days a week. So, and that is, I guess, like kind of a benefit of like of how we worked with us from a Blight is that I'm able to like create a set out of Pro Tools that has everyone's independent layers, and then upload like a session, and everyone can run the whole set in their own DAW essentially, and they can turn off their own layer and then practice to everyone. So it's kind of cool. Like it just allows you to like you're not just like playing to the record, like you're kind of like more embedded in it, and it has all the shit that we're triggering off of like the loop pedals and stuff like that. So like there's like more of like a live feel. Like it won't be people will be expecting what the segues are like so that there's not like weird sounds kind of throwing people off.
Right. When you say people, you mean your band members?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So Teeth to Sky is the name of the first Guiltless album, and it will be released on the 7th of March through New York Recordings, which at the time we're having this conversation will be at the end of the week.
Yeah.
So we spoke a little bit about your songwriting going into this album. When did you actually start writing the songs, and when did you feel you were done?
We started writing probably like late January 2024, and we basically reached out to Kurt Blue and asked when he had time, and he said he had time on the week of July 21st. So that's when we had to be done. So we basically just kind of busted ass and like wrote this record and got everything ready. I delivered Kurt all the digital files like on the 20th of July 2024.
So this album was basically done by last year.
Yeah.
Was the release held up by the label because of like production, vinyl production and stuff like that?
Yeah, I
Or
mean,
did you want some space between the EP and the album?
it just takes time to like kind of get all the stuff together because like I did the art and everything, like so we weren't waiting for that. Like we turned in the files of Kurt like on the 21st, and I think he was done by like August 7th, and then we sent the mixes to Brad, and he mastered them probably was done by the 15th, and then I think we probably turned in the files to Neurat around like the 20th of August, and then that's when you start calling where they start calling the plants and like asking what the turnaround time is on the vinyl. So our turnaround time on the vinyl was delivery like within the second week of December, which is not really a good time to put out a record.
Right. Yeah.
So then you start like kind of talking with press, like we were working with Earsplit PR in the US and Rarely Unable in Europe and UK, and they're the people you listen to. They're like, nobody's going to care about your record in December. No one's going to care probably for the like first 2 or 3 weeks in January because everyone's like just basically like going back to work and dealing with the new year. And they're like, but you want to put it out before mid-March because like that's when a shitload of stuff starts coming out, or actually probably like late March. So they're like, here's like a 3-week window that like would be the most opportunistic time for you guys to put out the record.
Yeah.
And so we listen.
Yeah. And I'm friends with both Dave and Liz, and they've both been in the industry for 30 years or more.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wonder about that though, because there's such a glut of releases. Like I get it, like we're coming up on festival and tour season, and so you want to have your album out, fresh in people's minds when you go out on tour. But just as somebody who like interviews bands and stuff like that, I get so many albums, crunched together between March to May, and then again in like September and October, that I wonder, like, is it really beneficial to release albums in that time? Because it kind of feels like you're caught in the glut of releases. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, the idea for this one was that we were going to be like a little bit before that. And I mean, and talking to Dave too, like, I mean, it's a matter of like weeks. I think like he wanted to put it out February 20th or something like that, and I can't remember why like it was pushed like a few weeks. But I mean, I think historically, like yeah, like September, October is really tough because that's like when the bulk of everything comes out. But yeah, that's interesting that you're also like kind of feeling that for March, April. I think it's like for Europe, you cannot put records out like in the summer. So like, I think it would probably be like less of an issue for the US, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I trust everybody kind of just, it's so much time and like work goes into making an album that like the kind of last thing you want to do is just be like, I want it out fucking now. And then like, you like, there's no time, like, it just gets like lost in the ether, like, because there's not like the people, like the backbone of the people that are promoting your record, like to do their jobs. Like you would just be basically kind of like flushing all of the effort and work you put into the record down the drain.
Yeah. With regards to the recording of the album, you mentioned you worked with Kurt from Converge. The previous album you recorded yourself, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, we all recorded our own parts, and then I mixed it. So actually, Thorns, like essentially recorded our own parts, but Travis Kammeyer from Fahrenheit Studios he's in Generation of Vipers with Billy.
Okay.
He's like a fantastic engineer, and Kurt sends him like mix work, and he recorded the drums for Teeth of Sky. So So it's still kind of like half like home recorded. And so hopefully the next record will not be any home recording.
Had you worked with Kurt before?
No, actually not on a record, but a Storm of Light did tour with Converge in Europe.
Okay, cool. What did you want Kurt to bring to the sound of Teeth to Sky?
I mean, he just has like he has a real ear for like modern heavy music. I think that it like Kurt's mixes and like his kind of approach to recording are like it's still kind of like based in like traditional like recording like thoughts and processes and concerns where like there's it's heavy, like it's super heavy and like and he also like varies a lot like depending on the artist, but like it still sounds like a band. Like it's there's life to it. Like I think a lot of metal can get kind of like processed or like washed into these like things where it's like every single thing is on 10 for like 40 minutes and like it kind of just ends up being like wallpaper kind of towards the end. And it doesn't mean that the songs are bad. It's just like a very like every snare hit sounds the same. Like everything's the same exact volume across like the entire thing. Like it just becomes like a kind of almost like white noise where I think Kurt is able to like have like the live performance of like where like a lot of like our historical like roots and or influences like hardcore and like stuff like that where like it's not the most professional recordings but like they feel like they live and breathe. So I think that's something that he has, and that's also something that Brad from Audio Siege has too, because he's like we went back and forth with Brad a lot and he has like a fantastic ear for just keeping that like life into like the mastering process and not just like slamming everything and flattening it out.
From silent to
It's interesting just because of the way that I edit the podcast. I'll see the waveforms, and especially with a band that's been around for a while. So, sometimes I'll see the waveforms from like the early 2000s, and it's just a block. It's just like a chunk of
Yeah.
the waveform's just this big like block with very little variation. And I've noticed a lot of the mixes that I've been getting, the last couple of years, A, they're actually a little bit softer than some of that old stuff, and B, there's a lot more variation in the waveform.
Cool. Yeah, it's weird. I think like I do design work for major labels, and I do like print design, but I also do like video marketing stuff. But like some of the stuff that you get, like I'm pulling the waves and I'm just like, Jesus Christ, like you can't see anything in it. It's just, yeah, it's literally block like for like 4 minutes. And I mean, it's kind of a wonder that it doesn't sound like it, like the total piece of garbage, but it's missing like that human quality of like fluctuation in there. It's weird.
I mean, the loudness wars was a result of people thinking that like a really pushed mix would, or a really like pushed master would sound louder on the radio or on MTV or whatever. I'm wondering if like the new mastering meta is based on people listening to music on their phones. You know what I mean? Like they're really trying to make songs sound good on a smartphone, which is like crappy to begin with.
Yeah, I can totally see that. Yeah, I Storm of Light worked with Joel Hamilton a lot, and he was in a Battle of Mice with me too. But he like, I would be willing to bet he probably has like a phone rigged up in his studio. But he would have like these like kind of shitty monitors, like these like super flat Yamahas, and then these like insanely expensive like huge ones, and then a ghetto blaster from like the 80s that they like wired up, and then like something even smaller like some kind of laptop or something. And I mean, and they weren't like he wasn't sacrificing the music quality. He was just like trying to kind of like check like, can you still hear the bass like on a laptop? You know what I mean? Like it's like just making sure that there's enough like slightly enough top end to like actually for that to register. But yeah, I mean, Apple's doing like the spatial audio stuff now, and like, I mean, I haven't tried it. I'm sort of interested in it, but I don't know. I mean, at a certain point, it starts to feel like pretty gimmicky.
Well, I mean, credit to Kurt and Brad because the album sounded great on my crappy laptop speakers.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Yeah, I actually haven't listened to it like that. So that's interesting. Yeah, cool.
You mentioned the artwork for the album. Did you create it in like Cinema 4D or something like that? Like
Yeah.
some...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. I've been using Cinema 4D professionally for like 24 years at this point.
Oh wow.
And I haven't like used it very much on covers because up until there's like a newer renderer called Redshift, like where it's actually like bouncing light around, like kind of like the real world looks. And I mean, it's like photoreal, but it's also sort of like photo surreal. Like I mean, you can tell that it's not like completely real, but it was a fun kind of like process to take like the icon that I designed and like basically kind of create like from a 2D spray painted like look like icon to like something that is more based in reality or like a pseudo reality.
Yeah. The icon that you created for Thorns that you see in 3D on Teeth to Sky, is that like the unofficial logo for the band?
Yeah, I mean, that'll essentially, we'll see. We may change our minds, but in theory, like every cover will have some sort of iteration of that, probably in the similar space. It'll kind of continue. But it could be any kind of like substrate or like material, or it could be like a tattoo on somebody's back, or like, or a spray painted ambulance, or like, I mean, kind of anything. Just, I wanted to establish a kind of like visual identity for the band that could work without words. And Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we'll see how like how the record does and if people care. But if we like continue to grow, like then it would be. I think it could eventually be. It was kind of like it doesn't. There wouldn't even have to be a word. Like you would just know that it was us by that icon.
Yeah. Like the Sepultura S, right? Like you see it on
Oh
the back
yeah,
of hoodies and stuff like that. You know, it's them.
yeah, totally.
Yeah. So you mentioned the tour that you're going on, which will be starting on the 21st. Do you have any plans for the rest of the year, maybe the summer or the fall?
So we're doing San Francisco, LA, and Santa Ana with Coalesce and Callan City in March, and then we're playing Prepare the Ground Festival in Toronto May 31st, and then around that festival we're gonna do the East Coast with Generation of Vipers. It's hopefully will be announced Friday, but we'll see. And then October we are playing Desert Fest in Belgium, and then Soul Crusher Festival in Netherlands, and then we're kind of sorting out other shows around those. We'll see about summer. I think we're too because this is our first record. Like we're probably not really, and it's coming out like this week or whatever. Like we're not really probably going to be. It's not going to be possible for us to play like summer festivals anywhere. I would doubt because since the pandemic, a lot of that stuff is booked out like a year in advance. We already have like offers for summer festivals in 2026. So
That's awesome.
yeah,
So by the time people hear this episode, Teeth to Sky will be out through New York Recordings. Josh, please tell everyone how they can order the album. What's the best way to get it?
we have the Bandcamp page, which is
I believe it's guiltless.bandcamp.com, right?
yes, yes, yeah, exactly. And then the Neurot like main page is music.neurotrecordings.com/guiltless dash album. And then or if you just go to Neural Recordings, like you'll be able to find it on there. But that link is pretty cool because it has kind of everything, like well, Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, Amazon, like their web store. And then we have our merch right now is it's print on demand, which is because we're a new band, like it's difficult to, print like 10 designs and like have a bunch of stock because we're not selling a shitload of stuff yet. So I'm running like our Guiltless web stores off of my design website, which is suspendedinlight.com. And there's a shop link off of there. Yeah, I think that's it.
So besides the Bandcamp page and Suspended in Light, what's the best way to follow the band online and get updates on tours and things like that?
Instagram seems to be the thing. We're Guiltless Band on Instagram. And then we're also doing Blue Sky. Like we haven't, I mean, there's like no one's really on it yet, but I think ours is guiltlessband.bluesky or .bssky.social. Facebook seems to be like a slow death, I think. I don't know. I think the fact that we started this band kind of like, I don't even really go on Facebook anymore, but we have a Facebook account, which is also facebook.com/guiltlessband.
Very cool.
So we'll be updating there, but I don't know if anyone will be visiting it.
Thank you so much, Josh.
Yeah, thanks.